This is the Zone Football League.
Welcome to the Zone In podcast, where we talk everything Zone Football League in Newcastle. I'm Mason. By my side here, as always, Gary Wilson. How are you, Wilso?
Good, mate. Good to be here.
That's the way. Look, we'll jump straight in. The word on everyone's mouth. The biggest game of the year so far. No, I joke. But Charlestown versus Merryweather United on the weekend. Bar TV match of the round. We were both there. Yeah. On either different sides of the table. I was out there having a run around. UNCT were there commentating. Give us your rundown.
No, it was great to get a game in. The ZFL have done really well to get that game up and running. Obviously Charlestown's ground wasn't up to the standard because of the rain, and we got down to Smith Park. Beautiful down there, in amongst the trees. There was a really good crowd there. It was nice and cool. Yep. Sun was out, and it was a really good afternoon for football. And it was a great game of football. Yeah, and
as you say, Smith Park only just reopening. First game back on that ground. Field looked nice. Still a bit like running it in, but as you say, weather was good, field was good, football was good.
The football was terrific. Right from the start, I thought Merryweather, you guys were right on top and rewarded really. I mean, after a lot of play up in the front third, Worsley on the right, it was really good. Yep. Hewitt, the young boy who's come over from Newcastle Olympic. He only looked young and really sharp. Yep. And Rodriguez on the left, and yourself, the Mason Villa up the front, and they really gave Charlestown some headaches for the first 25 to 30 minutes, and that coincided with up there with one of the goals of the season. We saw a really good goal by in the Croatian game by Polozzi, where the keeper was off his line, but this one was right up there with it. Won the ball in midfield, played the ball into yourself. Yep. Mason Villa, he turned, and with the first touch, he's had a good look at where the keeper was. He was stranded, and it was just sublime. He just hit the back of the net on the full, and he celebrated hard. And it's going to be up there with one of the goals of the year. So
I don't like to toot my own horn, but I will in this case. I've been reminded by all the boys I probably have never and will never again score a goal as nice as that. They're all questioning. Everyone keeps asking me what was going through my mind, and my honest answer, not really much. I knew there was a fair distance away from the goal still, and I was just like, bugger it, goalkeeper's off the line, I'll just give it a shot.
Well, and if you get the chance, get on the Bar TV and have a look at this goal. And you're downplaying it. And we've joked about it, about your other involvement in the game, and which was good anyway. But it was a special goal, and it was equivalent of anything I've seen at a high level. You took it well, whether it was a fluke, who knows. But it was it was a really high quality goal, and it was. If there was admission price, it would have been worth it. Yeah, and in the Zone League write-up today, there was questions on what was the behind the celebration. I was going to ask you that as well. Yeah, look, there's thoughts maybe the bowlers over at the Bolo were being a bit too loud, or there was other reasoning behind it, but I'll let people. Well, I guess everyone go for their imagination. Well, I guess when you look at the game and it's Merryweather United versus Charlestown, and you're heavily involved with the, ZFL. They may have thought that game it could have been another one, but of course, I don't think that at all. Whatever your reasons were, it didn't matter. I think you deserve to celebrate however you liked, and it's one you're always going to remember. Yeah, exactly. And with all the prospects of washouts and everything for this weekend, it was put out to the clubs. Yes, of course. Who was able to host. Yep. And look, credit to Charlestown on the short notice. They put their hand up willingly. A lot of other clubs have tried planning it around Old Boys Day and everything like that, but Charlestown were just jumped on it. Keen to get on the camera. I thought they were terrific, Charlestown. I think, like I said, in football-wise, I thought you guys, really held possession well. You were direct, but you could be, But I thought Charlestown's defence held strong and they were resilient under a lot of pressure for that first 30 minutes. And off the back of that, they come out and I thought their midfield was amazing.
Well, Zach Lloyd was everywhere. And as you listen back to the commentary, you and Chris were just pointing out, well, hang on, he's there. He's left wing, he's right wing, he's centre back, he's centre mid. He just was everywhere.
He really was.
I'm glad that I play up top and didn't have to follow him around because I would have been buggered.
Yeah, he brought the Charlestown team back into the game and it come off one of his corners, and they were quality all game. And he was another ripper of a corner. The keeper didn't really come, and Big John Riley from Charlestown, who had a really good game. Yeah. He got up and headed once, and it was saved off the line. It was a bit of a scramble, and then he forced it in, and it was in the end it was almost deserved to go in at 1-1 at half time. For sure. And on the score sheet, it has gone down as a Dean Gaffney own goal. Well, that's a shame.
At least
I don't agree with that one. I thought he deserved the goal.
Yeah, but as you say, all the work was put in by John Riley, and once again Lloyd just perfect set pieces. I thought every time, I was worried about every time he stepped up to the ball.
And there was so many free kicks, corners. I said to him after the game, if you paid for the amount of free kicks and corners, you're going home with some decent money in your pocket. But he was good. His fitness was there, and even though he's not he's not in the state he was when he was playing in the NPL, his experience come into it in the last 25 to 30. Oh, for sure. I thought Charlestown probably were closest to winning the game in the end. They had more of the running in the second half. Yep. I thought the last 10 or 15 minutes it was end to end, and I thought when the English boy come on for you, and Scotty Tate, I thought he was terrific. He looked like an old school number 9.
Well, he's definitely got some old legs. He's about late 30s.
Yeah,
so.
But he
doesn't show it though.
No, he came in. He showed for the ball. He just got into a nice little pocket. He dropped it off, forward runs, and young Sutton that come on with that haircut. Terrible haircut, but he was quick, and all the subs, the ones for Charlestown, I thought all the players handled themselves really, really well. I thought it was a really good game.
Definitely, and from being out on the park, Charlestown being at the lower end of the table in Zone 3 at the moment, it really didn't show.
No, I looked at the table before the game, and I saw you guys, Merryweather, in the top 5, and Charlestown languishing, right down, only on one win. And I think that has coincided with a few players absent. And
I believe so, yeah.
They had I think one of the boys come in from Japan the day of the game. So, I really liked what I saw of Charlestown. I thought that the two teams were different. I thought Merryweather were really direct and looking to get in behind. Charlestown had young Foster up the top as well, and who was our Harry Schnitzel's man of the match? Was
Wade.
Yeah, Wade. Yeah. He was terrific.
Everywhere again.
Jared Sutherland lookalike. Yeah. But he was good. He built into the game. I think Zach controlled the game for the first 25, 30, even the whole first half. But the second half, he looked so lively. He was bombing on. He was defending, and I think he was a really worthy recipient of the Harry Schnitzel's man of the match.
For sure, yeah. And I was going to say congratulations to him for round 6, Harry Schnitzel man of the match. CT handed over the voucher. Almost reluctantly, I thought. But yeah, I'm sure.
And what about the interview at half time with Rodriguez?
That was one of the most informative interviews I've ever seen CT do. That's got to be high up on his list now.
But I was calling him Gonzalez for the whole first half, so it was good for me to find out his name was Rodriguez. So. Yeah,
that's it. But ended 1-1.
I think that was a fair result. Yeah, in the end, I thought I really when you're enjoying a game is when you don't want it to end. Yep. But you also don't want one team to lose. And that's how I felt watching the game and calling the game was someone's going to get hurt here or someone's going to get punished or someone's going to be a hero. But in the end, I think the draw was a fair result.
For sure. And then looking at some of the other results of the weekend, as we mentioned before, wet weather, not a lot of games got played. But in Zone 1, Katara still
Yeah.
just flying at the top there against the Sharks. Stocko being promoted this year, maybe not going too
Quite
well.
ready. I think they might have lost a couple of players on the way up, coming up. And,
just
I might have to have
a little
talk to Matt Ralston. I think it's Matty Ralston.
Yeah.
And just see where they're at the moment. But yeah, I mean, Katara, it's a tough gig when you have to go over and face them at the moment. They are flying.
At Nesbitt as well, making it a little fortress.
And they're working hard, and things are going their way, and things go your way when you work hard on and off the pitch. And it's really heating up at the top of that ZFL 1 table.
For sure. And the other game to mention would be Olympic versus Cardiff, which at the time of filming, Monday the 5th, they are playing tonight.
Yep.
Cardiff have been looking like they're on a bit of a comeback run at the moment. So if I was Olympic, I'd be a little worried. It is being played at Islington Park, but still I think Cardiff could come and do the job maybe.
We covered the Olympic game the other week against University, and I thought they were outplayed. But they have some really good players, Olympic, and they would be expecting to be doing better than where they're at. I'm in the middle of the table. But Cardiff, I've seen a bit of them, and I'm impressed with them, and I would not be surprised if Cardiff win that game.
Yep. So we could look like fools now. By the time this comes out, the game's already played.
And I apologise to Olympic, but I can never, ever go for Olympics.
So. Looking down then to ZFL 2, a gritty 1-1 draw between Nelson Bay and Merryweather Advance. Both teams sitting mid-table, but only just above that relegation area. So both teams would have been going out there really desiring that 3 points.
Yeah, it's one of those games where, but like you said, both teams want the 3 points like always, and they've come away with 1 point each. They're in just above the relegation zone, and sometimes in a game you can just go, is a point enough here today? And that might have been the case. They're accumulating points, and you've got to do that even if you're not playing well or things aren't exactly going your way. Just keep accumulating points, and things will turn around. And, I think that's what probably both coaches will go away from that game thinking, we've got a point each.
This early in the season as well, with it being all quite disrupted now, second wet weekend and everything. So, as you say, you may as well...
Well, it's points on the board, isn't it?
Exactly.
The other teams have got to play midweek where they might have players out with illness or injury or work.
Yep.
They've got the game played. They've accumulated a point each, and they go on to next week. Yeah,
exactly right. And South Maitland as well, up against Minmai. Minmai getting the win 2-1. South's in a bit of a slump at the moment. They started strong round 1, getting a win, and then have just kind of slipped off since that.
Yeah, no, we've seen them, and they. They are in a bit of a hole, and this was a big game for them because Minmai have been, up and down as well, and, it was a massive game for them, and for them to get the 3 points, that would be a massive boost for them. But, it doesn't get any easier, does it?
No, and this weekend coming up against undefeated favourites at the moment, Croudace Bay. Definitely.
I guess the only positive is that there's a big midweek game for the Crabs, but
true.
It's going to be a tough one. They got to, they'll go out to Baxter Oval and and have a plan and see where they can go with that, and maybe try and steal a point.
For sure. And finishing off then in Zone 3, Greeter, the ever clinical, as we touched on last week.
Taking all before them.
4-0 over Fletcher.
And Fletcher's struggling as well.
They are struggling, so maybe it wasn't best time for Fletcher to come up against league leaders, especially with Greeter averaging 4.6 goals a game currently.
Yeah, they're just, they've got it right. They're obviously it'd be good to see them at some point and see where these goals are coming from. And if you're scoring that amount of goals, you're doing something right in the front third, and and it looks like they're cleaning things up at the back as well. So
for sure, and with the
top of the table.
head coach that Greta does have. Apologies on forgetting the name, but I've been told that he been at premier levels coaching and everything. Maybe he's come to Greta just for convenience factor. So obviously they've got someone leading the helm from the front.
Makes a huge difference. You know, you need someone in charge that knows football but also, we just spoke to Wayne Bailey. You got to be aware of circumstances and understand your players and what they're capable of and what they can do and when they can't do that. And at the moment, it looks like he's got everything in place.
For sure. From the Zone League side of things, once again, congratulations to all the teams that did push on or make alternative plans to get these games on. We know as the season goes further, it's really going to pay off. Not having to bank up a game, playing weekend midweek. So
it has been a tough period, and we get
especially
this.
Especially at the start.
It's worrying. It is worrying that it's this early, but we've got a few games in, and hopefully the weather will be good this week, and we can get all of them in this weekend.
For sure. And keep an eye on the games that are rescheduled coming up over this week and the next. And that's it for the reviews. We'll cut to our piece now with the Croudace Bay Crabs, Andrew Bailey, Wayne Bailey, and Chad McCarter. Just wanted to take a minute to thank all of our great sponsors of the Zone In podcast. We have Deploy Football, the leading developers and manufacturers of performance sporting solutions, not only just including our awesome balls, and also sportswear with all of our grassroots clubs in helping them design and produce amazing apparel. One of our other major sponsors, Solved Marketing. If you want your problems solved are the ones to go with. Helping businesses, brands solve complex challenges with ingenuity and creative solutions. Solved Marketing is our go-to agency for all of our marketing needs, and we cannot recommend them enough. And finally, Harry Schnitzel Joint. You guys know every week Man of the Match is presented with the Harry Schnitzel Award. Definitely go check Harry Schnitzel out. And we know that all the Man of the Match recipients have been so excited to get their Harry Schnitzel Man of the Match Award and get down to Harry Schnitzel Joint. Special guests today joining us in the studio. We have the Croudace Bay Crabs, Andrew Bailey, Wayne Bailey, and Chad McCarter. How are we, guys?
Yeah, good mate. Good to be
here. Good. So we'll jump in with you guys just while we've got you. Andrew and Chad playing for the Crabs, and Wayne head coach. How's the season been so far, and looking forward, what are you guys expecting?
Yeah, pretty good. We started this year pretty strong. We're 5 from 5 and a couple of wins in the Oz Cup. Looking to build on that for the rest of the year. We've got a cup game against Maitland on Wednesday, but bringing Wayne in to coach and Andy as well with a couple other players, we've started really strong, and it's been a good start, and we're hoping we can keep it going.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just about keeping the momentum going. So far it's been great. 5 from 5 in the league, and a few cup wins as well, and a lot of clean sheets along the way as well, so it's been a really, really good start, yeah.
No, it's good. And as you're saying, undefeated at the moment. Is there any one point you reckon has got you there? Any one player, anything like that?
I think it's been a team effort, really, from the coaching staff to the players. As I said, as a unit, we've been great, and I think the attitude's been really good as well. So I wouldn't put it down to one player or one moment or anything like that. I think it's just been a team collective performance all year round. So,
Yeah, I'd agree. I'm sure Wayne can probably touch on it in a second, but I don't think we've actually put out the same lineup any week. I think it's been a sort of a disjointed group. There's good players that can come in at any point and play. So, I think Wayne probably could touch on it as the coach, but it's definitely been a group effort for me.
Yeah, well, I just definitely think it's the coach. And no, definitely. My other son, Chris Bailey's my assistant coach. He's been great and Gavin Reeves has been helping out as well. He's the father of our goalkeeper and so on. So the coaching staff is all new this year and so on, and we've been invited in, and players have been great. They've asked what I've asked them to do. They've done, and it's been a great effort so far. So we might retire after this week.
And Bales, you've come from a high level of football. You've played for the Newcastle Breakers back in the day, and Australs and Missouri and Edgeworth. The list goes on. We're going to talk about you a little bit later on, but like coming from those heights and moving, slightly down the grades. Is there anything different about your coaching that you may have used earlier on when you were coaching in the top 5?
Oh, definitely. You've got to make allowances. There's a lot of boys who would like to play at a higher level, just can't commit at times. And they've obviously got the ability, but they just can't commit, so on. So you've got to. You've got to make allowances for that. And it is different than coaching at a higher level, because you're going to get 11 players or the squad will arrive on time and so on. There's different reasons, work commitments and so on. Commitment to training as well. So there's those factors as well.
Possibly big nights before a game.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say that, but that's well. That was like that in the old days as well, with a high level sometimes. But but that's all those sort of things you got to take into consideration. You still want to take it seriously, though. I still do that. I'm still pretty competitive, and so hopefully that rubs off on the boys. We still want to win, but winning means you're having fun as well. So we do have a lot of fun with that.
And it must be a thrill to be able to obviously coach with Chris and Coach Andrew, and is Harry?
My youngest
Harry didn't
boy.
make the squad.
He wasn't good enough. He decided to try his at a bit of a higher level with South Cardiff. So
cool. That's good.
His first game he broke his wrist, so that was good. But he played full game reserve grade last night actually, so he's getting back into it. But it's a great. That's the reason I'm doing it. I used to like going and watching him all the time and so on. So I get a closer look watching Andrew and
over the years you're probably one of the rare players that's been able to actually play with your sons during their career, with obviously the back end of yours, which means you probably had children pretty early. But I remember thinking
I did play,
that would be amazing.
It was one of the highlights of my career, to be honest, because I'd retire about 50 times, and I was over 50, I think, wasn't I? I was 50. You wouldn't believe I was over 50, but we won it was this grade's grand final. Third of the zone league.
Yeah.
And I played in the grand final with Chris, who was in goals, and Andrew, and it was brilliant. Yeah, it was great fun.
Was that the 2019 one? The year's one, I think.
Yes, probably would have been. We played.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think 2019 or maybe the one before that.
Yeah.
And I guess a good example is for you, Andrew. You've played at a good level as well, and I had the honour of the honour. Oh, yeah. Well, I got to coach you. I got to coach you over at the Eagles, where your dad played as well, and I played with him over there, and was coached by your dad as well. So, and I got to, and obviously I think you were travelling then. So there's those reasons. Your work, your travel, and now you seem to have found a home in the ZFL 2. But we watched a game yesterday, or we commentated a game yesterday. It was terrific. Just you can tell that the players they go to work, they still train, or you guys train once a week, but there's still a commitment there, and the energy and the emotion of the win is no different at all.
Yeah, I think when you're out in the field, right, you want to win, right? So it's the same no matter what league you play at. And a lot of our boys, I think, have all played, especially the first grade boys, have all played MPL at some level, you know what I mean? So the quality's there. A lot of the time, the fitness against the higher teams and stuff, but the quality's there, and the commitment to win. As I said, you're not going when you cross the white line, you're not really going on there to lose, So you want to win. So,
and that's what I've been finding. You can coming across so many players that I've either been involved with, played with, coached, or just watched over the years, and that's the fun part about it. I'm getting to see players, and for you guys, I think giving back and going back a couple of divisions and getting the emotion of still winning and
that's one of the things I thought, because when we were playing with yourself and so on, and at a higher level, you didn't give the lower level much. We're a bit I wouldn't say arrogant, but I just a bit naive as to the lower leagues. We didn't just go and watch them much or anything like that. It's only when the boys got involved and I got involved in playing there and coaching. It was a real eye opener to me, and it was it just renewed my enthusiasm for the game. It was great. They'd celebrate harder than they'd even though it was hard to celebrate more than the Eagles in the day, mate. But it was fantastic. It was really.
I have to agree with that, Bales. It's like I've got a passion now. Because the same thing, you're in your own bubble when you're playing and you're coaching, and I think it's good to see so many players giving back, and the standard is terrific. Like there's been so many terrific games we've covered, and I just think those players and like yourselves giving back, and it just lifts up the level of all
and the people involved as well, the ones that run the club. It's the work Chad does and so on, and all the clubs. It's just. Even the old referees you run into, everything. It's just, it's.
We saw Scourge.
It's just. I did see Scourge the other day. It was quite a funny moment.
Sent me off about 1992.
Oh, no. Scourge and Dougie and all them. It's just great to. It's a good way to spend your Saturday and so on. Just it's with soccer people, and they don't sort of leave the game. They work hard, and it's great. And as you said, the standard there's not we've done very well this year, and we had a great win in the Australian Cup against the NPL team, and we beat Singleton as well. Everyone's thinking, oh well, you've got a great side, you're going to do it, but the actual games on the weekend in our competition have been very, very competitive and very hard games. So it's a credit to everyone, mate.
For you, Chad, what are your goals? I mean, obviously you're the forefront of the club, and obviously a player, and obviously the media. So what are the goals for the club? Are you looking to move through the leagues?
When we first started, I think we all just wanted to have a place to play as a group of mates, and then now that we've sort of got this promotion relegation system in place that is available to everyone, it's why not go as high as possible. If we can do it this year and go in the Zone League 1, that would be great. And if it turns out that we can do it again in a couple of years and go up even further, then the infrastructure is there for us to make that pathway, and there's no reason we wouldn't do it. I think the ambition's there with a lot of the playing group and the committee, but it's obviously a hard thing to even get promoted this year. And so, for us, I think we're building a foundation now, and there's a lot of boys that are committed to the future. And I think after a couple of the results we've had this year, the interest is growing, and hopefully we can sort of build it again and again, and see where it goes. There's no limit for us. I don't think there's ever going to be a point where we go, that'll do. I think we'll ride it until we.
And that's what comes with mates as well. When obviously known each other, and you're the same. Which you started that club basically.
Yeah, and I was going to say, when you're saying about players, committee, and Wayne touched on new staff this year, the whole club itself is relatively new. I believe three years the Crabs.
Croudace Bay United started last year.
Okay.
But when we played at Azuri for 2 years, we had our own committee that sort of was seen over by the whole committee at Azuri. But the boys that have been sort of running the club have been doing it for about 3 or 4 years, and then we had 1 year of an all-age team at Lakes that was pretty cruisy. But the last 3 or 4 years we've been full.
So that's when it was formed, is that?
Croudace Bay United was last year.
The
start of last year, but the bulk of the boys and the Instagram page has been going for 4 or 5 years,
So then, what went through your mind? I think you were one of the founding guys of Croudace Bay and the rest of them. What goes through your mind to just wake up one morning and go, we're going to start a club, not a team, not a squad, but we're going to start a club?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. And Wayne brought it up before. He said, you didn't really pay attention to the lower leagues when you play at the NPL and the higher leagues, and I was the same. I didn't know it existed when I played, under 18s at Jaffas or whatever it was, until I went to Azuri and I saw what a community football club could do and have those first grade resis, third grade boys, and then we had a great couple of years at Azuri, but circumstances meant that we couldn't get promoted when we won the comp, which is understandable, and we kind of went through the pros and cons of moving to a different club to play zone league or whatever, and the boys kept actually bringing up, we want to go on a cup run, and if you go to you go to play zone league under Adamstown or whatever, you can't play in the cup because Adamstown's got a team. So every time we thought about different options, it kept coming back to, well, why don't we make our own? Like, let's just have a crack. And it was a fair bit of admin for a couple of months, but I think now, like, looking back, we wouldn't change a thing. It's probably the best thing a lot of us have done, and it's on the field we've achieved a great deal and stuff we should be proud of. But I think, like, just as people, that sort of that going through that whole process has definitely grown us up a little bit. Now that we're all mid-20s, when we were 20 when we started playing for Zuri, but now we're all mid-20s.
And then I know, obviously, in around Newcastle, space and fields especially are hard to come by. What got you across the line to go out to Baxter Oval, and was it over a few schooners at the Marks Point?
No, we only got Marks Point on as our sponsor this year, so that was just because of convenience. Me and Cal were coaching at Vallo for a couple of years. Cal was there for a while, and they use it to train, but no one actually plays there on a Saturday. And as you say, there's not much availability getting around for clubs in Newcastle and Lake Macquarie. So again, sort of just went through the pros and cons if we wanted to share with another field or another team. And when we really thought about it, having your own field every week is probably number one. So we are Croudace Bay United, but we do play in Marks Point. But if we can move to a field a bit closer to Newcastle for some of the boys, I think they would enjoy that. But I think Azuri played at Hexham for a while, and Merryweather played at Jesmond. I think that's not you don't have to play in the suburb, and that's the way I sort of cope with it. But a few of the boys that have to drive to Marks Point don't love it.
And the cup run.
Yeah, so
obviously that's what everyone's talking about at the moment.
You've mentioned it a few times now. I know of the most recent games because they're fresh in my mind. But how'd you start this run? So you're now 4 games in, or 3?
Yeah, this is the 4th game.
This will be a 4th game.
Our first game was against Merryweather, who were in our comp.
Yep.
At Baxter Field for round 1, and we had our season launch that night. So we had planned to have a good crowd win, so that all the boys could come to the pub after. And we obviously wanted to plan to win.
Yeah.
So Merryweather actually beat us last year, and we had a 90th minute penalty to draw with them. So they were a better team than us last year. So I was nervous. I was terrified of that game.
And as we've touched on as well, it's not the league, it's the cup. Like, anything can happen in the cup. And going into that round 1, you're saying, well, shit, it's no guarantee. But now, in hindsight, how funny is that with anything can happen in the cup of what you guys have now done?
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably let these two talk at some point because they're the Baileys. But, I think, looking back on it, when we drew Singleton, I think we'll be happy with the first win because we had a good crack. But, I think looking back now, you don't even remember the Merryweather game. It was so long ago, and we've played 5 games in the league and another 2 cup games. So it's a long time ago. But, that was a great game, and then 2 more great games followed it. But
and even that one, Singleton, that's like Dougie West coaches up there, and that would have been a great one to win as well. And that was up at Singleton as well?
So we've been a bit unlucky with our away draws. We'd get some teams at Baxter. That'd be a bit of a leveler. But we drew Singleton away, and obviously they're 2 levels above us. And I didn't know Dougie was coaching at the time. So we had a good chat before the game and so on. And that was their first game on their sort of pitch. And the pitch was immaculate, and we're saying, but it was that game that I I looked at our boys and realised the potential that was there. They really, I think that was the most complete performance we've had this year. It was really, we really played really, really well. And we ended up winning 4-0, and it was a great result. And I remember driving home from Singleton that night thinking, okay, these boys can play a bit, it was great.
Never been oh shit, what have I got myself into?
Yeah. Well, I've been saying that a bit, but I've had a bit of time off this year, so that's why I got back into it again. But I'm really glad I have at this stage.
Oh, that's good. And then moving on to the third game then, Andrew, we'll get you to speak about that. Sure, most people listening to this podcast, following socials, both yours and Zone League, would have seen photos, videos, everything about that game against New Lambton NPL. Tell us about that one.
It was lucky there's footage because I couldn't really remember it on the day. Like, it was an unbelievable game. Like, going into the game, we come off the 4-0 from Singleton, so we went into it quietly confident, but knowing who we're up against and knowing fitness is probably going to play a part. But I think going into the game, we said, let's just get through blocks of 10, 20 minutes, and I think after the first 20 minutes, we had a really good chance that we should have taken. And I think we were going, we've got a sniff here. And then once we scored the first goal, just the crowd was up for it, and we really started to believe. And when you're versus an NPL club, you do have to get a bit of luck, go your way. Like, they had a penalty chance, they had a few chances at the end there in extra time, but it was just an amazing team performance. And going not only going through 90 minutes, but going through extra time at at 1-1. I think we looked at each other at 1-1 goal. I thought it was
some of the boys
didn't. It was going straight to penalties.
Some of the boys didn't even know it was extra time. And when I told them now, just another half an hour of that.
I remember seeing some of the boys' faces there, and we're going, "Oh God, we're in for it here."
It's a bit of a juggling act on the bench too, to try and replace players and so on. But we were 1-0 up at half time, and
how was that? How were you in the sheds?
Well, we were confident. We were saying, because
you probably would have heard Pricey next door.
We didn't, because we were too busy buzzing ourselves, I think. We're in a bit of disbelief at times. But they've been going through a bit of a hard patch too, and we sort of knew that, and we weren't going to make it easy for them. And but after half time, the next 10 minutes they were pretty dominant and scored, and then we thought, okay, it was good. It was good while it lasted. Then they got a penalty, and William Reeves done a great save, and that sort of lifted us again for the next 20 minutes. And as Andrew said, in increments, we just kept on, and we got to full time at 1-1, and then Pandemonium.
A really good way to look at a game like that, to just get through 10-minute increments, like you said.
Because I guess any game going into it looking at a block 90 is daunting.
Well, it's daunting,
let alone a game like this. Yeah.
And New Lambton, although their form isn't good in the NPL, the Eagles played them, and there's some decent players there. There's some really good players there.
There's some quality players. Yeah.
There was it must have been daunting, but for me, I think I spoke about this the other week, and obviously I was aware that your boys were there, but I wasn't aware that you were back there coaching.
Right.
And
I sort of kept it quiet a bit.
Sofa score, training. I think Pete was organising something, and I probably was on my phone again at training. But I was like, oh, it was 1-1. Yeah. And then it wasn't until I got home and I saw the score, and then I think it was their VO that there was the footage of. And I'm watching that last moment when
classic last moment.
Their goalkeeper's gone up for the corner, and then I look down to the sideline, and there's this guy that I know that guy on the sideline. I know that stance. I know it all. You could just see it all unravelling. The guy is scrambling back. When that ball goes in the net, the emotion of you and obviously Chris, that must have been...
Chris just backing up behind you.
Chris went a bit, he had a bit of built up there.
That for me was just... I watched
but it happened before, because their keeper came up, and Benoli had the ball, and he just slotted it from about halfway. It took a while to get to... We were already on the pitch. So, our subs and that were all... Well, I had a bad back, and I went to jump up, and you see it in the footage. I can hardly I did pull a hamstring, but anyway. But but that's what it's all about. That's why we're involved, just those moments to, for the underdogs to
when you think about your career, you've had, come from behind win for Australs, the grand final. The come from behind Eagles win. You've had Missouri wins. You've had, played at a high level, breakers, and like where does that sit? Where does that game sit in what's been a pretty amazing career?
It would be up there. There's no doubt. Just for particular moments, and the fact that the ball was rolling in for about 5 seconds, the moments, it's up there for sure. And just to be a part with my boys and with, Andrew's mates. They're all Andrew's mates, but they become my mates as well. They keep me young and sociable.
We're moving in on Wednesday to, probably the club's biggest game. Obviously the club's biggest game ever.
Yeah.
What's the preparation been like? Obviously you didn't get to play this weekend, which is probably going to help. You're going to go in fresh. I'm sure Bales has done his homework. If he could, on Saturday while the races were on, he might have had a little look at the Maitland lineup. Has anything changed in the preparation? Are the nerves setting in yet?
We found out on Saturday night that we weren't playing on Sunday, and we were in the middle of a pub. So that sort of
that seems terrible.
That was our preparation for Sunday, and then Wayne rang me on Sunday morning and said, "Do you think we should have a session today?" I said, "There's absolutely no way we can do that." But yeah, I think we're going to training tonight just to get a kick in the legs, just to keep a bit fresh. But it's kind of funny because Cal coached with Adam Hughes at Valentine together. So once Hughesy did the maths and found out that it was Cal that he was versed, and he was pretty stoked. So I think, and we've got
there's plenty of backstories, isn't there?
Yeah, we've got a connection with Reese Thompson, who's up there. So there's, it's a bit more of a fun game than we probably thought at the time. But now that it's all sort of come out, it's been it's one to look forward to.
Surface up there. It's probably the best.
We wanted to get it backed up just because Baxter's not a terrific service. But yeah, I think. Andy touched on it before. A few of those boys have played at the highest level, but some of them haven't. And to be able to play a team like this on a field like that will be, as you said, probably one of the highlights for these boys' career. So, obviously as a club, it's probably the biggest game we've ever played and might ever play. You never know. But yeah, it's definitely one to look forward to. And I think the boys that are going to come watch are really looking forward to it again after the New Lantern game where they were in the crowd. So,
and yeah, for those who don't know, this podcast will either come out Wednesday, the day that you guys do play, or the Thursday after. But yeah, details for that game it's at Square Park at Maitland, right? 7 o'clock kickoff.
Yep.
So yeah, obviously we encourage everyone to go support the Crabs, especially Zone League fanatics being the last remaining Zone League team in that Australia Cup. So yeah, it'd be great to get as many guys up there to watch. And I am just checking the time as I do know you guys have to leave. But just a few things on yourself, Wayne.
Here we go.
As we said in the little green room chat of Wayne Bailey bio, here's what the bio is. Few things, as Wilso's already touched on, your extensive playing career, all the memories and stuff. I've got here as well for Charlestown, Missouri. You're the 4th most capped player, I believe, 90 games.
It could be, yes, I think so. Yeah.
And in that 90 games, scoring 158 goals. That seems, yeah. That
don't think that's
seem
right.
Purely correct. Maybe the whole career, but
I scored a few, but
that's why I wanted to touch on.
Maybe I played 150 games and scored 90. Maybe that was it. I don't know. But
and that was over Highfields, Missouri.
Yeah, it was Highfields back then. Highfields, Missouri, and so on. So, they were good days.
Yeah, and then Wilso touched as well on your days at Austral, where scoring the winner in that grand final.
Yeah, I was. I went as a junior, played for Merryweather actually in the juniors. I I was looking for a senior club, and the Australs were in the second division back in those days, but they were supported by the Austral club and so on. And I ended up playing second division there, and we went up to the NPL equivalent now. And we made we came fourth, I think, but we played against Adamstown, who were undefeated. They had a great side, Macquarie, all the Neil Owens, all the boys, and we had an epic. We were down 2-0 and never got a touch at at a half time, but we come back and we won. Yeah, I was fortunate enough to score the winner a minute to go or something. We won 3-2, and that got us from that year to the New South Wales Premier League, which Australs were backed by the club and so on. And then, so I just rode with the club. Basically, as they progressed, I got higher and higher, and was fortunate enough to play in the state league. And
you also, touching on that state league, then got Austral had the opportunity to play against the Socceroos the next year.
Yes.
At Austral Park.
Yeah, I remember that night.
In front of 10,000.
Yep.
What was that feeling like?
Yeah, that was a great build-up, because they just had a huge win over Argentina at the Sydney Football Stadium, I think it was, and we played them not long after that. They were preparing for the Olympic Games, I think.
Yep.
And that was a huge night we played, and we played quite well. We got beat 2-0, but yeah, there was a massive crowd at Austral Park there, and that was definitely a highlight.
Yep. No, it sounds like I won't. I'll admit, I did look some of this stuff up quite recently, but when I'll
tell you, you could have just rung me.
I lost track of time when I was reading it, because I was genuinely just invested. Obviously, knowing Chad and Andrew outside of football for a couple of years as well, not knowing that who you were per se, the background of it all was great to know that someone as what do I say,
experience
like yourself is around, and it just made it even better that with your rap sheet coming to the Crabs having their run now, all seems to just aligned. And one other thing I have noted here, I believe I got this from the Hamilton Azuri days. Where'd the nickname Horse come from?
That's
if you
that's
can
a
say
long
it on the
story. I think
there's a few.
There's a couple of nicknames as well. There's I think David Lowe was the instigator of that for some reason. I'm saying it's to do definitely with the my running style, the gait of it's a horse.
Okay.
But we also used to shower with no clothes on back in the day.
They were the days, weren't they? Why doesn't that doesn't seem to happen? Anyway. Boys these days. Anyway, carry on.
But so also got you guys in and to talk about quickly this weekend's match of the round, round 7 Bar TV match of the round. You guys are taking on South Maitland at Baxter. So there's been a lot of talk about Baxter Field, so I hope it looks good on camera.
I hope it does too. With one of the boys had a drone for our Oz Cup game, and it was really, really high up, and it looked great from up there. So I'm still thinking about where you're going to set up, but I'm sure there'll be a spot for it. It's first one for us to have, which we really appreciate the exposure, and I think the boys will really appreciate being on camera again. So
I'm sure we can club like you guys and the fanfare that you have, the crowd should be getting right behind it.
Yeah, well, it is in Mark's Point, so it's some of the boys don't go that far on holidays. They try to remind me, but I think the boys will be right up for it, especially having thirds and resis there beforehand. So South Maitland, maybe they haven't had the greatest start, but they've always had a tough game for us. So that's probably the beauty of our comp. I'd say there's despite the table, I think the 10 or 11, 12 maybe, I actually don't know. 12?
12, yeah.
The 12 teams, they're all strong and they all can give you issues on the day. So, we're really looking forward to it, just to be able to play again after being washed out. So, it should be good.
And your preparation, Andrew, if you manage a victory on Wednesday night, you may not get to to the ground.
Yeah,
by
well,
Saturday.
we were lucky. We were lucky after the New Lambton win. There was the Easter weekend. If we would have played there, we would have had the forfeit. No.
So there'll be a celebration. Yeah.
Regardless.
Yeah. No, for us, preparation's just as usual. We've got to keep the momentum. I think we're 5 from 5 in the comp, so it's just another game to hopefully keep the momentum going. I think South Maitland obviously struggling a little bit, but again, they'll probably lift as well, being on the big camera as well. So it'll be good.
And it is a bit of a juggling act now, isn't it? Because you've had such a good run through the cup, and when you've got players who can't train because of work, so it's looking after your body is important.
Yeah, well, as I said, against the New Lambton game, we're probably lucky that we had the weekend off just for that, because we're not used to playing it at that intensity against an NPL side. Just the niggly injuries here and there that you get just from playing at that intensity. So that will be a juggling act for the weekend. So obviously the boys will have to look after themselves. Yeah.
And as just quickly, I know you've got to go, and Callum Garin, and so obviously his experience in the top flight and obviously working with Hughesy. Do you call upon him at all, Wayne? Or
yes, I'll be calling upon him regarding this game, the upcoming Australia Cup game for sure. He knows more about the local talent than I do. I'm talking players here. So he's he's got the experience and so on, and he's been doing great for us too at the back.
And how's his career going? Was it injury plagued for him to get into coaching so young?
No, Cal played at Kahaiba in the first grade team for a couple of years, and he was coaching at Macquarie with Randy, and I think it was 12s there. And then he took a group of those 12s to Valentine and was a youth coach there till last year, so 16. So he juggled. I think that's part of the reason he kind of came to the Crabs at the start. He honestly would come to night games or afternoon kickoffs with a minute to spare and not warm up and play because he was coaching. And now that he's no longer with Valo, he's been able to commit to us full time, which has obviously been great for the club and the boys. But he just juggled it, and now he's got a full time job, and he's a credit to him. He managed to do both, which was it's a hard thing to do, especially when most games are on Saturdays. But
and Tommy Karan.
Tommy Karan refuses to play anything other than an Oz Cup game or a Friday night.
He's in our cup team, yeah.
He's in our Friday night all-age team, and he's in Bali at the moment. But he's back for Wednesday.
He's in our special team.
I think he loves it.
He's a good kid.
He's had phone calls from MPL clubs, and he's a love Friday nights.
He's a quality player. I mean, he's well into his university.
I think he's got it. He's done. He's finished now. So
just a good kid.
But we need him in a game against a lot of quality. He'll be huge for us, and he has been. So
you're going in with a couple of players, and
I mean it's going to be tough. Like we're not, but and I hope we put in a performance that the Zone League could be proud of. Things can go wrong, and as you know, and we could be overrun or whatever, but we could also hang in there, and you never know. So
all the pressure's on Maitland, so they haven't been.
We are going to have fun, I think.
They've got some pressure on them. Their results haven't been great, but that could be a bad thing because I'd say they'll be playing their full team. I don't think they'll be leaving anyone on the bench. And
we
which
actually
is a good thing as well.
We got told by the New Lambton boys they were going to do the same thing because they needed a win, and that sort of made it better for us because we knew we were playing a full strength team. But I think Maitland have got the quality and the experience in boys like Crowley and stuff that have been around for a long time. So
obviously. He might get sick or something.
Yeah,
before the game.
I don't know. I think
maybe a flat tire.
Their resis and their 18s are still really good too. So I think that there's no escape.
Someone run into him in their car on the way up or in the car park.
There's no.
There's ways around it. But
Well, guys, I'm sure we can talk for long time.
I'm having a great time.
Yeah, and we would love to have you stay, but you're always.
They know what to do. That'll be fun.
And yeah, you're always welcome back. We'll surely try our best to get you back on and have another.
We'll see you on Saturday.
We'll see you on Saturday as well at the game. But yeah, look, it's been great having you guys on. Cheers.
And good luck.
Yeah,
thanks for having us.
Good luck for
Yeah, really
Wednesday.
appreciate
Good
it.
luck on Saturday.
Always great catching up with you, Gary. You know that. Thank you very
It's
much.
like looking
Alright.
back at Andrew, 25, 30 years. Such a handsome.
Not in the shower though. I can say that.
All right. On that note,
Thanks, boys.
And
That's a
just,
wrap.
Just before you go, can I just get you to put the pincers up?
Happily. Happily.
That's just for the blooper reel.
Is there a celebration?
All right,
Yeah,
guys.
Thanks, guys.
When Bales is talking.
This is the Zone Football League.